Yeezy is still undoubtedly shaking up the sneaker world with its crazy designs. Of course, you still got your extremely popular Yeezy 350s or the 700s, but the really crazy stuff like the foam runners and the Yeezy slides, they're just one of a kind. And today we're taking a look at a pair of Yeezys that is definitely a one of a kind pair of shoes, and it's the Yeezy 450 Cloud White. Alright, we have a new box, a very different box. So Yeezy did an Apple and just literally shrunk the box in half. Just for reference, here is a regular Yeezy 700 box, and here is the 450 box. So same length, just literally half of the width. Not exactly sure as to why, but if we kind of take a look at Apple and they kind of said that it's an environmental thing, well yeah, I guess you can kind of make the claim that this would be using 50% less materials for the boxes than it would be to produce, you know, the normal sized box. Either way, it's pretty much still the same thing. You've got the all over cardboard look to it. You've got the 450 on the front, nothing on the side, because obviously this is not a Boost pair of shoes. I will give you a look at that size tag. There we go. And let's slide these open. Pulling these open, today's pair of sneakers that is stuck, the Yeezy 450 Cloud White. Alright, so one thing is, because it's coming in a very slender box, they are going to be kind of flat and look a little bit strange. Man, it is just so crazy to have these in hand. This is literally one of the shoes that I just kind of thought was always going to be one of those insane Yeezy samples that never sees the light of day, but here we have it. I mean, wow, it just looks crazy. Obviously, this is a very, very different design pair of shoes. Like, I've heard a lot of people say a lot of different things about this pair. I've heard they look like dumplings, they look like a rib cage, they look like someone grabbing your foot. But I want to know the first thing that comes to mind when you take a look at this pair of shoes. Leave that down in the comment section. Either way, some specifics on this pair of shoes. These did release on March the 6th. They retail for £170 here in the UK or $200 out in the US. These were pretty limited, and the actual release was through the Confirmed app. They did this kind of queue drop, and my personal experience was very frustrating. It just kept on giving me errors. At the end of the day, I walked away with nothing. So yes, I did have to bite the bullet and pay resale on these. Before I actually got these in hand, looking at images, I was very intrigued, like what the material is going to be like when you actually feel it. And the actual construction of these is pretty simple. It's a knit upper and a midsole. The upper is literally just one piece of knit material, definitely has a sock-like feel to it. This knit material that they use on this pair of shoes comes in a kind of, well, I guess it's called a cloud white, but I would say it's almost an off-white or a little bit of a beige color. It's very stretchy, specifically around this sock liner. You don't have any issues sliding your foot in. It's a very, very easy slip-on experience. That stretchy knit extends the upper just underneath those laces. You can kind of feel that when you have it on foot. It does feel really, really good. You get regular style laces which kind of loop through the upper in a very basic fashion. Unlike the Yeezy 350 where the laces actually go into the pair of shoes and you can kind of feel them when you stick your hand in, this has an extra piece of material to cover all of that up, so you do not feel the laces on the inside. Laces come in exactly the same color as the rest of the upper, in again that kind of off-white or beige color. And then the piece that is holding everything together, of course, is this insane midsole. of course my biggest concern was how stiff this midsole was going to be, because obviously, as you can see, it extends onto the upper to provide the rest of the shoe's construction. I gotta say, it's actually a really good balance between being nice and soft and movable, while also adding structure and a hug-like fit to your foot. So yes, these kind of spiky elements to the shoe that extend all the way onto the upper, they are all a way around. They kind of cage up around the back and through around onto the other side. Pretty much the only portion that doesn't have it is the toe box. This midsole material is an EVA foam, and I actually think it feels really good on foot. It's not as cloud-like and squishy as Boost is, but I would argue that this is probably the most appropriate material for this pair of shoes, because Boost is quite heavy, and I feel like this is a really good point between being too squishy and too firm. The outsole is just as wavy as the upper, which has a very, very simple traction pattern, which I don't believe adds that much grip to it. Like, it's definitely not a very rubber feeling material, so it's definitely not as grippy as let's say a regular rubber traction pattern. Honestly, when you first pull these out of the box, you do get hit with that scrunched up flat effect, which again is not the greatest looking thing for a pair of shoes. However, I do have to say, don't judge this pair of shoes until you actually put it on foot. Because when I was wearing it around, I just immediately thought this is a pair of shoes that is going to grow on a lot of people. It actually feels really comfortable on foot. In my opinion, this kind of feels like one of those shoes that is really best for just a throw-on kind of casual fit, maybe with a pair of joggers or some shorts, and you just keep it moving. The actual material that extends onto the upper of this shoe is all fused down to that upper, and when you actually have your foot inside of this shoe, you don't feel them at all. It feels just like a regular shoe, and it does provide a nice feel when you're actually walking around in it. As of right now, the resale prices, yes, they are pretty high, but I guess not as high as I would have thought they would have been, considering how limited they are. I do see that the prices probably will go up in the future, considering this is the first colorway of a new Yeezy model. So if you did miss out just like I did, I'd maybe consider picking these up sooner rather than later. Now, as for sizing on these, considering it's a brand new model, I think that was a big question as well. Well, I just ended up going with a half size up from my true to size, so that's exactly what I do with my Yeezy 350s, and these seem to fit just fine. Now keep in mind, these are a little bit more on the narrow side, so if you are particularly wide-footed, I would kind of recommend potentially going a full size up. But hey, that pretty much wraps it up for the Yeezy 450s or the Yeezy dumplings. Let me know what you think of these down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for coming through, hanging out, for liking, commenting, and of course subscribing. I'll catch you all in the next one. But until then,